privilege of introducing Foucher. Can you translate that?
我有这个特权来荣誉来翻译介绍近赋法师。
So Jin Fu is a filial daughter. The first thing that I want to say about her. She met Shifu and took refuge, and she wanted to become a monastic. And her mother wanted her to wait until she was, until her mother passed away, I believe. And Jin Foucher listened to her mother. And so for 8 years, Jin Foucher stayed in Taiwan, remained a layperson, and cared for her mother. But at the same time, oh, go ahead. You want to, 你大概吧。
我第一件事情我要谈的就是金福是一个很孝顺的女儿，她认识上人以后就想出家，但是她的母亲和她说，希望她能够等到她母亲往生以后才出家，所以金福师就很孝顺，他有8年的时间，就是保持一个居士的身份在台湾。服侍他的母亲。
During that time, though, she was an idol. She began to publish 智慧之言, Source of Wisdom, which was a newsletter, but it was full of wonderful things about the master, about the Dharma Realm Buddhist Association, and so forth. And so she informed all across Taiwan people all about the master. So when he would come, he would have huge crowds. And I'm sure part of that came from the circulation of Source of Wisdom.
在那8年之间呢，金福师也不是说没有做事情，他开始创办了台湾的智慧之源。这个在台湾的人都很清楚。这个智慧之源就是介绍了上人的法，很丰富的资料，所以让很多人认得上人。那这很可能是其中一个很主要的因素。那么上人到台湾弘法的时候，会有很多信众去听法。
So she published 110 issues of Source of Wisdom, and the Source of Wisdom Publishing Company also published 15 Buddhist books during those 8 years when she was being filial to her mother.
他总共出了110期的智慧之源，出那个出版商呢，同时也出了15本关于上人的书。
And then she was able to leave home, and I saw her through that. She trained as a novice in Seattle, and then later she went to the city of the Dharma Realm to train, and then eventually went to the city of 10,000 Buddhists for precepts, which she received in 2005.
他出家以后就到金峰寺，西雅图金峰寺那边受训，然后到华界圣城 Sacramento 那边，再到万博城。在2005年，受戒，是不是？去受戒。他在刚开始的时候帮了那个易经会，还有就是华总这边出的很多书。接下来他到就是温哥华的金佛寺去，在那边一段时间以后，他就发愿说要到法界去帮忙持法师，因为持法师那时候在前南法界。
Okay, the last thing I'm going to say, Jin Yong Shi, I just put in the chat for you. so you can look at it. The last thing I want to say is that when I left Gold Coast Dharma Realm in 2015, Jin Foucher became the manager, and she's been an extremely capable manager. She has overseen the renovation and new development at Gold Coast Dharma Realm ever since 2015, so that there are now a new Buddha hall, a dining hall, kitchen, and other facilities, and a tremendous amount of attention to the landscaping, including a main gate, driveways, walkways, water features, gardens. So it's very beautiful there in every way possible.
金布是在金岸法界那边就开始了建设地方，已经建筑了很多儿童戏城的。我想那个释法师刚刚讲了很多，我就不讲，因为待会儿大家应该都可以看到那个相片。
Okay. Okay, so that's my introduction. And Jin Foucher, I miss being with you. I miss GCDR, and I'm really glad you're going to catch us up on what's going on there. I'm done.
I planned to stay for 3 months, but when I came here, it was obvious that it needed a lot of people. So, and I made a vow to stay and stay for quite a while. It started from the March of 2001 until now. This is the 11th year. Time has gone really fast. You know, because of the pandemic, a lot of people wanted to come and visit Australia, but they couldn't. But because of the pandemic too, we can use this online method to showcase Gold Coast Dharma Realm to everybody. We'll first have a look. Gold Coast Dharma Realm, amongst the branch monasteries, has a particular aspect is that it's full of forests. The forest in Australia is different to other countries. The forest is the trees are quite narrow, so they're not that big. And also, Australia has some unique flora and fauna. So in Gold Coast Dharma Realm, almost every day we can see kangaroos and different unique birds. So I would like to showcase Gold Coast Dharma Realm to everybody. Morning enters the ancient shrine. First sun touches the tips of trees. Bamboo path leads to quiet retreats. So this is a Tang Dynasty poem, which is very fitting for Gold Coast Dharma Realm. Zen room deep in flowers and plants. Mountain sing pleases the birds. Shades of pond cleanses people's heart. All is silent here. But for the bells and stony chimes. So within the premises of the Gold Coast Dharma Realm, there's lots of orchids. So initially, we didn't know how to deal with the orchids, but soon we got some advice from the local people, and the orchids they actually bloom by themselves because we didn't know how to deal with them initially. This you can see. This is our Arahat Trail. I believe this is one of the special features of Gold Coast Dharma Realm. In other branches, there may not be a sizable Arahat Trail, but this was a plan from the initial development of Gold Coast Dharma Realm. A lot of people like this place, especially people who like to do sitting meditation. They have some very good experiences. A lot of people, local Australians who learn yoga also find it very useful. These photos are all taken by Reverend Henshaw. These are all his animal friends, all these birds. They are all gathered on his verandas, including turkeys. This piece of land is Upasaka Foucher. She bought this piece of land, and then she was taking care of this land. In 1999, there was a few small houses. So in 1999, the monastery started receiving visitors. However, there wasn't a lot of people who believe in the Buddha Dharma or a lot of Chinese until 2006. Dharma Master Henshu brought a lot of Dharma Masters to Gold Coast Dharma Realm and explained Shurangama Sutra for several months. So that particular retreat allowed Gold Coast Dharma Realm to open to the outside. The Dharma Master Chu explained why she chose to do Shurangama Sutra explanation. It was just following the example of Master Fa when he first arrived in America to explain the Shurangama Sutra. So later on, Dharma Master Chu also named the main Buddha hall as the Shurangama Sagely Monastery. You can see that Master Fa came to Australia really early. This photo was taken in 1960, the year 1960. He came to Australia in September. That's a photo of that time. So it was 25th of November or the 17th of October, which is on the lunar calendar, was actually in fact his father's birthday. The day that he arrived in America was his mother's birthday. So it was something that I found out later on. He used these birthdays to commemorate his parents. So he was in Australia for about 9 months. And during this time in Australia, he didn't have much opportunity to propagate the Buddha Dharma. Only time in 1961 during Basak. So that was on the 11th of May in 1961. There was a professor from the Sydney University who invited him to speak Dharma. You can see in the photo, the person on the left is the professor. Master Hua had intentions and plans to actually make a publication about his time spent in Australia. He even thought of the actual title for the book. Hopefully in the future, we can produce this publication. So we, even though there weren't many first-hand material, we want to preserve this history. When Master Hua came here, he said the Buddha Dharma hasn't started in this country. He will bring rice every time he walked around, and he would recite the Great Compassion mantra. With the power of this mantra, he wants to plant seeds of the Buddha Dharma in this country. So you can see within these 60 years, since 1961, which is a complete full cycle of a Chinese calendar, you can see that the monastery has been established. We have a lot of young people, including teenagers. They're full of energy. You can see that this monastery is full of possibilities in the future. So later on, there was an opportunity to establish the Buddha Hall. Some people ask me, when you build the Buddha Hall, did you ask a Foucher master to come and have a look at the feng shui? But to tell the truth, I didn't. But we actually do have masters of feng shui. So there are these cockatoos. It's an endangered species. They don't fly in a team, but they might appear in one or pair. But this is like our feng shui master. Why do I say that? It's firstly because it's actually estranged. You can see that they eat these chestnuts. When we first applied for development, the council came around, but they didn't actually see evidence of these birds being living in these habitats. So they approved of some of these trees to be cut down, allowed us to build a large hall and a large space around the hall. However, there was a particular clause which said, even though it's been approved now, but before you actually start the actual building, you have to you invite the inspectors to come around again to see whether there's any endangered species. And if so, the development may need to be stopped. So before we started building, the inspectors came along and found evidence of these cockatoos, and they halted the actual building and asked us to move the Buddha Hall towards the back, moved it back in order to protect these endangered species. So you can find that the foreground of the Buddha Hall isn't that great. It's because we have to do it in order to protect these endangered cockatoo species. This Buddha Hall, its origins when we found the architect at that time, So he asked me, what do you want this Buddha hall to look like from the outside? So I went onto the internet to do some research. What sort of monastery styles would that be suitable? I saw one particular photo. It was very simple and straightforward. So I showed the photos to Dharma Master Chu and Dharma Master Liang, and they also liked it quite a bit. And I showed the photos to the architect. And then I did research which monastery is this. In fact, this was the monastery that Venerable Master Jin, when he first went to Japan, he built a monastery called the Tang Dynasty Zhaoji Monastery. If you have an opportunity to go and visit that monastery in Japan, you can see that the architecture in Tang Dynasty is very simple, straightforward, and very stable, and very very simple. So I found that the style of this monastery would be very fitting for the surroundings. So even though we're in Australia, we didn't use the garden styles from Australia. So in the photo, you can see the lights. When we were choosing the lights, I really wanted to use crystals because crystal is clear. So I told the architect then, I said, can we use crystal because crystal is clear? So I was thinking the Buddha is light emitting everywhere. So I was thinking that with crystal, as soon as you lit up the lights, then the light will be emitted everywhere. So the architect was very intelligent. He really thought of an idea to how to illuminate the actual light. So instead of putting on the wall, he's hung it up in the air. So a lot of people came to visit and praising the sort of light. We are very fortunate to have a Buddha hall like this. This architect was a young architect. He hasn't visited many monasteries either. He's studied architecture in Australia. He's only built normal houses in Australia. He said maybe it was already predestined because he final project when he was studying was actually of a monastery. So So it's very fortunate for us to come across this architect that he can put our wishes into reality. So the whole development process took about 2 years. We started in 2016 in February. Finished in March 2017. Took about a year. So in September 30th, 2017, we started using it properly. This is the Dharma wheel in the Buddha hall. This was actually designed by that architect. We should also mention Dharma Master Chu. So at that time, the architect made a very simple Dharma wheel, like a typical one that we see in other Buddhist decorations. But Dharma Master Chu thought this should be slightly different. So she gave him a copy of the Shrangama Sutra, and you should build a Dharma platform that's as described in the Shrangama Sutra. So he hasn't really read the Buddha Sutras before, but after reading the Sutra, he was able to design such a design like this. We can read in the Shurangama Sutra that the platform is octagonal. So the sutra inside describes all sorts of designations in terms of what's inside. Also, that has 8 mirrors and surrounding the actual lotus. And you can see outside the mirror, you can see 16 lotuses and 8 incense. And on the outermost is the mantra hut, the Dharma wheel that he designed were very full of praises. For a person who never read a Buddha Sutra before, he was able to design something like this. If you have an opportunity, you should come and visit this Dharma wheel. I think this is probably the only one in the world. It's very inconceivable somebody else to come up with a design like this. So when we're designing this Buddha hall, we on one hand wanted to preserve the Tang Dynasty designs, but from the architect's point of view, he also wanted to incorporate designs from Australia. So there was a particular design that we wanted to do, but he said he couldn't actually quite do it. So in Queensland, our part of Australia, one of the significant challenges to architects is the termites. So we're thinking of making a wooden building. Everybody's very worried. They were thinking that if we can use steel, but if you use steel, steel will be different to wood. Wood is very warm. It has energy, life energy. We like to build it using a style that has Tang Dynasty flavor. But if we use steel, it will be very different. So the architects and builders were able to find hardwood, such as the one that we're using. With this particular wood, termites really can't have its way. You can see at the outside is all wooden. This is our patriarch hall. We have one of the statues of Master Hua enshrined here. So at Gold Buddha Monastery, I've seen a statue of Master Hua. I've seen the statue of Master Hua made by a particular by a Taiwanese factory, and using the same factory, we asked them to make our 3 stages of Avatam Saka. So we have a Vairocana Buddha in the middle, and then Manjushri and Samattabandra next to the Buddha in the middle. So our first stage was actually to build the Buddha hall. The second stage is what you can see now. We've got the gate, and we've got the stones. This is a particular stone from Shandong province. This is a specialty of that place. It's a very hard sort of stone. So we've got Heart Sutra here. Why did we choose Heart Sutra? So we really wanted to have, in the southern hemisphere, a particular monastery. So this monastery, we also wanted to be a start point and also be a medium which transmits Buddha Dharma through the Chinese lineage through Master Empty Cloud, as well as to preserve the calligraphy artistic creations. So we chose Heart Sutra because it's one of the Buddha sutras. So when this first came across this these weren't particularly refined, but then they were polished, made by 2 lay people with lots of other people helping, including the golden words that now you can see. I believe when people see this, they'll be very happy, full of joy. So you can see that this is also made by the Qing type of stone from Shandong province. So it's got its special features. So Madhuraba itself is amongst the bush. It's not a particularly beautiful forest. But having a landscape, this area, I believe our monastery will be a special feature. So as you come in through the gate, you can see the mountain gate. And there's also a stone-based light. So as you walk up towards the mountain gate, there's the 4 heavenly kings. They are made from stones as well. These come from the Tiantai mountain. So this is all our second stage. It includes the gate as well as the dining hall and reception area. So this architecture is circular. Why are we using circular architecture? Circular building. So a circle can enclose everything and expand. So these are the 4 heavenly kings. So in the middle, we've got a circular square structure, and there are walkways which can go to different halls. The way we build this walkways is because in Australia in December and January, there's a wet season. Pretty much rains every day. So before we had it, it was very difficult to walk. So we really wish for a walkway. So before the architect was thinking, maybe we can have the walkway, maybe we may not have the walkway. Maybe we can use the funds towards further building stages. When we first started using the Buddha Hall, we hosted a Emperor Liang's repentance. At that time, it rained for a whole week and there was full of mud on the ground. A lot of people found it quite difficult. A lot of people who come in to attend the ceremonies are all elderly people. They found it very difficult, including some of the monastics found it difficult too. So I've told the architect to go ahead with the building of the walkways and not to get rid of it. And I believe that was a very correct decision. A lot of people would come and visit and say they really like the walkways. So whether it's rain or storm, it won't affect you. When it's sunshine, it also won't, you won't get burnt under the sun. On the right, now you can see through the glass doors is our reception area. When you visit Gold Coast Dharma Realm, we would like you to first stop would be at the reception area. There will be a lot of publications. Here you see that in the middle there's a circular. We've got a circular structure around here. Originally, we were thinking of having a garden in the middle. We didn't know what to do. But one day, Reverend Foucher was walking around here, and he had a thought. He was saying, "Oh, have you not been thinking of building a stupa? We can build a stupa here in the middle, and then we can go around the stupa." So originally I was thinking where to actually put the stupa. So this became a good place. So we thought this was a great idea. The architect agreed too. We thought this was the most ideal place. So our second stage is almost finished. So we haven't finished the Vajra stupa. Maybe after 2 months we can finish it and we can build the stupa. The stupa will be early Indian style stupa. On top, we'll have the Vajra Sutra. So it will be called the Vajra Sutra. Inside, there will be Sharira. It will be built with bronze material. Under the sunshine, it will illuminate. So this is the second stage. In the middle is the Shakyamuni Buddha, the statue. If you come out of the hall, you can go across the walkway. So, and then we'll go towards the dining hall. So this whole walkway is undercover. You don't have to be scared of rain or anything like that. So the dining hall is coming up. It can host up to 200 people. Because we think there's potential in the future. That's why we wanted to allow 200 people. So you can see all these landscapes are done by our volunteers who use a lot of their time. You can see our garden are all very adorned. So this is all built by wood too, but on the side is built by steel. The steel is even more economical than the wood. So from this walkway, we will be able to go to our new dining area. So you can see the circular place in the middle. And right across there is the reception area. You can see on the left is the current dining hall that we're using. So later, maybe we'll convert it to a library. Any of the old building, we will not destroy it, and we will continue to utilize it. Because this year is a pandemic, we haven't formally opened it. Otherwise, we think a lot of people would have come along. I hope the pandemic can finish this year, and a lot of lay people can come and visit. I hope a lot of people can come and visit, can come and see a second stage building. This is the kitchen. So as you have your meals here, you can see the outside. the garden and the surrounding roads. It's very good visibility and ventilation. So if we have any activities or Dharma activities, we can use the dining hall area. This is our back door. It's also a stone wall. So on it, there's the mantra hut. So the polishing and also the painting are all done by the volunteers. Everybody helped. So you can see the garden. This is all done by the lay people. We have a couple who are lay people. They would spend all their time and holidays here to cultivate these plants, whether it's beans or vegetables. It's all organic. This is a lotus pond included amongst the second stage. Before it was a pond used for firefighting purposes. It was just a pond of water without any design. Because of where it sits, we've landscaped it. There's water lilies and lotuses and also gold fish. Gold fish, the responsibility of Reverend Henshaw. He's feeding them and buying them. Is also looking after them. A lot of them has grown up. If you stood at the side, you will be able to see them. Gold Coast Dharma Realm. I think this name is very interesting. I thought this name was particularly made up. I didn't know that it was the name of the place Gold Coast. I thought it was a name that we created, meaning that we have to go along this golden path to Buddhahood. So that has a lot of meaning inside. So like what Master Hua said in the past, a lot of conditions are already there. Long time ago has already been determined. Upasika Huang Xueling, in the past, she wanted to find a place near Sydney because at that time all her daughters were studying at Sydney. So when she came to visit her daughters in Sydney, there wasn't a particular monastery she can go to. So she made a vow that she would like to find a place to build a monastery to be one of Master Hua's branch monasteries. But in Sydney, she couldn't find a large enough piece of land. So somebody said to her, then why don't you go and have a look at Gold Coast? The Gold Coast has a lot of places. You know, a Gold Coast is a tourist destination. It doesn't have a great population, and the land, the pieces of land are very, very big. The weather is very good. the beaches are great. It became a surfing destination. When Wang Zhenling first came to Gold Coast, when she came down from the airplane, even before it landed, she said it was a completely blue sky with no clouds. She thought this was like pure land. She was very happy with this place, and therefore she bought a piece of land and donated it to Master Hua. So at that time, Master Hua had already passed away. But of course, Master Hua already knew about this. So you know how Master Hua was throwing those grains of rice away with the power of the mantra. We're thinking all these lay people, young people who came to our monastery, these people who benefited from the grains of rice that Master Hua had planted as seeds. So all these volunteers who came to help us are really moving for me, because at the Gold Coast, there's actually not a lot of Chinese people. Sometimes there will be very little people. On Saturday and Sunday, there's hardly anybody. I found it really odd, because when we stayed at other monasteries, at least on Saturday and Sunday, there will at least be some people, particularly during Dharma assemblies. But at Gold Coast Dharma Realm, sometimes there's hardly any. And slowly the conditions have ripened. We had a lot of people who've come across, who will come and help the way place. It's like the seeds have sprouted and has grown bigger, and slowly there'll be a flower and there'll be a fruit. So of course the most important thing is for them to come to monastery to develop their bodhi resolve and start to cultivate. This is our the most important thing. So as the only branch monastery in the Southern Hemisphere that's part of Dharma Realm Buddhist Association, we think our responsibility is very significant. So the picture of that monastery that I picked became the first monastery that Dharma Master Jin Jin had built. I was thinking, oh, how wonderful, because it took Dharma Master Jin Jin many times to be able to get on shore onto Japan, because I mean, when he arrived there, he was already blind, but he was very much revered. He became a national master, and gave him the emperor gave him a monastery. He was a patriarch of the Vinaya. And he also transmitted the Bodhisattva precepts to 500 people. So this is like a coincidence. Master Hua took the Buddha Dharma to the Western America. He's also sown the seeds in Australia. So we have to continue with the vows of Master Hua to hope that the seeds of Dharma will blossom in this southern land. Jin Fu, so you talked about the first and second stages. What about the third stage? The third stage, we're planning to build a Changho. In the Changho, we want to have the 1,000 hand, 1,000 eye Guan Yin as the enshrined statue. So the Changho will be even bigger than the Buddha. It will be for many purposes. So a big Dharma assembly, a big activity. And the fourth stage is to build a dormitory of both men and women. This is the current plan. So in this photo, you can see that the Gold Coast Dharma Realm is like a picture perfect thing, but this is 100% real. If there's no questions today, I'm very pleased to introduce Gold Coast Dharma Realm to everybody, and hopefully the pandemic will be passed really soon, so that people can come and visit and attend the activities. So there's a question out of the whole design. Is there a design where the Buddha statue is on top of the lotus? So our plan is to build this Changho. It's called the Guan Yin Changho. Inside the Changho, we will have a 1,000 hand, 1,000 eye Guan Yin statue. We want to have the Guan Yin Bodhisattva can have its awesome spiritual power to look over the southern land. So Monica says, when can visitors stay for a meditation retreat? Unfortunately, Australia's border is still shut unless you're a permanent resident or citizen. You wouldn't be able to come in. So we just ask people to be patient still. So you said before there was a lot of young people who's come to volunteer. Are these Asians or local Caucasian? So these young people are mostly Asians, but there's also locals too. a lot of new migrants. I've stayed in lots of different monasteries. There's lots of young people here. You'll find that it's full of energy here, full of potential. So if there's no more questions, we will do some announcements. So next Sunday, there will be sharing by some graduates from the boys' school. It will be on YouTube too, and we'll share the address then. I'm going to do dedication of merit now.
Thomas Yin, can you lead us to dedicate merit?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
Amitabha, Jin Fu was a beautiful and wonderful report. Okay, please put your palms together. 3 bows. May the merit from this practice adorn all the Buddha's lands, repay the kindness from above, and rescue those in paths below. May all who see or hear of this resolve upon awakening, and when this body meets his end, be born together in the land of bliss. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Amitabha.
阿弥陀佛，金牧师，感激你做这么精彩的报告。And thanks, Thomas Chi, to the introduction. And thank everyone who helped to have this event going smoothly. 阿弥陀佛。
阿弥陀佛。
阿弥陀佛。